Hello everyone watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify. It's another episode of NRG Insights. For those that haven't listened before, NRG Insights is based around the mortgage industry, whether that be lending, broking, packaging, or any kind of ancillary products that are involved in it. And we get people on who can add a bit of insight and a bit of value into everyone else's life that listens. So on that, I've got Will from the Brightstar Group today. Thanks for joining me, Will.
Thank you very much.
So if we start, as we start with every podcast, I'm sure you're an avid listener, how we start with everyone is just talk to me about your kind of financial services journey to get to where you are as Group COO of Brightstar Group.
Thank you. Yeah, so my journey was 13 years ago, or just slightly before that. I was in politics beforehand and was commuting between here and Great Yarmouth, 3 hours every day, there and back.
The home of politics, Great Yarmouth.
Yes, indeed. It's popular now for different reasons. So got to the point where I wanted to change and thought, I'll tell you what, I'm going to step back from politics and working professionally, take a few months off and find something more local. That lasted about 4 weeks. Found a job on Total Jobs, office manager for a finance firm called Brightstar, and applied. And unintentionally, and at some point in the previous months, I come across Rob, our CEO, on social media and followed each other on Twitter. Hadn't met, had a mutual connection in a friend called Russell Quirk. So I applied for the job, had an interview, and then I was at a council meeting the night after the interview, and Rob had messaged Russell saying, interviewed this guy, do you think he's good? And Russell will probably to this day say that he's the reason I'm in financial services. Because he was like, yes, Rob, I trust him with my life. Good. So so that was the in, and so started off as office manager, first admin in the company.
How many people were there when you started?
So there was 4 people there when I started, so I was number 5. When I'm now a company with a size, I think, 86, 87 at the moment. So I'm one of the very old guard.
Yeah. Great though to see that growth and to see how things change and stuff. I'm sure we'll go into that some more, but that's a hell of a big jump.
Yeah, it is, and for my career, the roles have been really different in the company. So I started being the catch-all for all the admin within the company. Mm-hmm. Then we started to build out the team, starting to build out more consultants, more sales support, and then I took on an office manager PA role for Rob. So I spent best part of 4.5 years as Rob's PA, and the other.
Oh, that's your hardest job you've had.
Yeah, probably, but it was good grounding. I'm very lucky to have learnt a lot from the people I work for, but he's a hard taskmaster, but it's for the right reasons and in the right direction. So and then sort of all these ancillary things started to get added on. So there wasn't anyone to look after tech, so Will can do that. Will can do that, and I loved it, and I thrived on my days being so different because of the amount of things I could get involved with. And then I moved into an operations director role in 2017, and when we've then broadened out the businesses with Sirius and Brightstar and Soulstar, private label and Launchpad, I've then moved into this group COO role, which I've had for nearly 4 years.
Amazing. So loads of changes in the business since you started. What would you? Well, let's talk about the challenges first. Actually, it's really interesting. Just quickly, just only because we don't tend to get loads of people on the operational side on the podcast because it's all the sales guys and the BD guys and everyone wants to be. But I always think it's interesting, especially when you see your journey. Because I had someone on yesterday who was a lending director and he had started off as an underwriter. But I don't think we talk about that side of the business enough because it's so important. Because we're all sales, revenue, and actually a business without processes and operations isn't a business at all, right? So it's really important to get that side of the business right. So these tracks are great. But
yeah, and I think it's, when we think about new talent in the industry as well, it's about saying that in financial services, it's not just sales roles that are there for people to come into from school.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be a salesman. I never wanted to be the person that was driving sales or submitting a case and doing all of that. I wanted to be I've always described it as the man behind the man. I wanted to be the one that kept the lights on, kept the people paid, got operationally things done, so when someone sat at their desk everything was there. And I think in financial services we need to make sure we're promoting all of those ancillary roles that exist, because you can go into marketing roles, you can go into compliance roles, you can go into BD roles, you can go into ops roles. Financial services itself has got finance and accounting roles. So I think that dynamic of just trying to say there was a huge amount of avenues that you can do And we look at our sales support now, and some of them want that route of moving into more underwriting and then moving into selling themselves. Some want to stay on the operational and compliance side, and we've had great success of having people go down different routes and avenues for that, and it's what we need. And I think we do need to talk about it a bit more, because there are some really exciting opportunities. It's not for everyone, but sales isn't for everyone. So
exactly, yeah. So also, of course, isn't it? The best thing that ever happened to my business is I got an operations manager, which I didn't even knew I needed until she came on as an admin and was like, "This is shit. Like, there's no processes. You just sell." Like, I didn't even use the CRM system. I've got 10,000 numbers on my phone. You know, and so her to come in and do that, like you do with Rob, really, just fix the problems in the background. It's made our business a business. Because before it was just us trying to generate as much revenue as we could with no real clear path, and we no way we could scale it without that.
No, and I love now. When I first started, we were looking at lots of Excel spreadsheets and access files and things like that. I love changing what I brought in 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, technology's moved on. The CRM's now in place. And
it moves so quickly as now, right? You must be looking at something that you like. It's obsolete after a couple of years, and it's constant.
And I'm a control freak, and I've got some big OCD issues. So the idea that I've created something that's taken me ages, I'm then going to go and change.
Yeah.
I love it, because it's about responding to things that are differently and going, okay, how can we make things easier? How can we pay people quicker? How can we get a deal done quicker? Well, you know, that's where ops can drive money.
Yeah.
You know, ops isn't known for driving sales, but it makes sales happen. But actually, it can drive sales. So if we're looking at systems and going, well, how can we look at rebrokering cases that we've done before? Well, we can build in rules and algorithms to do that.
Yeah.
And how do we measure it? So all those things, ops can generate income for businesses when they're focused on it.
100%. I mean, we did a similar thing with us in regards to the ops manager. We spent a fortune last year on automation and AI and stuff in the background just to improve the flow of the background. But it definitely drives revenue, because we don't miss things now because of the process is so good in the background, and we've automated a lot of it. So you never take away from what the sales guys do. They're still important, you know. You still do that face-to-face element, but actually, without Katrina, who's in our business is the person that deals with the ops, we never would have got it done, because my brain does not work like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if I had to automate anything, it would just go. It wouldn't get done.
Yeah, it's getting people to work to their talents, and we've got a management team of 4 of us now, with Rob, Claire, and Brad, and the 4 of us are uniquely different people. And if any one of us was just us, or there was a couple of us, if there was a couple like me, the business wouldn't be as successful. Yeah. You know, you need the blend of the 4 people. You need the blend.
I remember speaking to Rob about it a while ago, and he said the very same thing. If I had 4 of me, what's the point? Because everyone would go, yeah, that's a great idea, because we all think the same, and it's just this hive of like, that sounds good. But actually, you guys challenge each other, don't you? Because there's 4 different aspects there that come from 4 different skill sets, so it works really well.
Yeah, Rob thinks very strategically. I'll be, how do we implement? Brad will be, how does it drive and impact sales? And Claire will be thinking about how we bring the people on the journey that are working for us and that we work with, and maintain the best service. So you've got something. Rob will want something done yesterday. I'll want something done in a week once I've planned it out and scoped it out. Brad will want something done in the middle of it, and Claire will want to make sure that as we do it, the people are on board.
It works.
It's dynamic. But that takes time, I think.
I was going to say that's not immediate, right? Most businesses don't have that luxury of getting a board. You know, like it's something you've got to build over time.
It does, and you've got to build up the rapport that the 4 of us can have agreements or disagreements in private, but remain united outside. Yeah. Also, when we have those disagreements, it's actually positive.
And it's because you care about the business, right? It's not for the sake of I don't agree with you. It's because you've all got different opinions, and you've all got different.
And you're bringing 4 mindsets and 4 approaches, so that's why we're in that position. My job is to go, well, operationally, I don't think that'll work because of X. Yeah. We'll say, well, we need to make it work because of Y, and Claire will go, but maybe if we did, Z, we could do it. And then that's how you've not actually disagreed, you've just had your 4 minds come together.
Yeah. And you end up with a great outcome at the end, right? Because it should hopefully fit every aspect of the business.
No, exactly.
So what are you finding at the moment? Obviously, well, I've got a million questions now, because obviously just from your initial bit. But so 86 to 4 people. Obviously, you've gone up slowly through the years. But what kind of where are the tough points in that? Where are the challenges? Because you speak to brokers, and packages are like there's certain points in the journey that are so tough to break through. What are the points where you've seen where you've gotten how we get into the next stage? Where's the pain points?
I mean, there's probably a management phrase for this about conquering the plateau that we've always spoken about within the business. And I think if we go back to 2016-17, it was a real sort of landmark point for us back then. Nothing significant happened in terms of what people might see in the news, but we were moving between being that small business based in Wood that moved to Billericay, had a better office, and then was finding the pressure points of attracting the talent in terms of sellers wanting to be based in London. We didn't have a London office.
Yeah.
How you move from being 30, 35 staff to probably 50 plus. And, okay, well, one person can't be doing all of these functions. So now we're big enough to need a head of finance.
Yeah.
We're big enough to need our own marketing department. So how do you scale that up and make sure that you can remain profitable and you're not, wasting resources? And then how do you then build that second brand? So that was the big point for us, and I think operation, when we go back, the same point, we needed to expand the office here. So I had an office expansion project. We had a brand new office to open in London. We had our biggest recruitment drive over probably 2016, 2017. And we can see that now. We've got a partners club for people that are on 5-year service or 10 years. And we're now getting to the point where there's like 10 and 15 people joining that club last year and this year.
That's amazing though, right? I mean, they're the big ones. And the retention of staff is, we bang on about it all the time. I work in recruitment, so recruitment's good. But retention is the game changer for businesses.
Yeah, I mean the faces on the wall behind me, I'm looking, there's about 15 here and there's about 20 ahead of me.
Yeah.
It's around 35 staff that have been with us for more than 5 years.
That's impressive.
It's a huge collective effort of hours there and time. But so that was probably the big challenge for us in terms of that shift and so many things going and knowing.
How do you do it? I was talking to a small business owner earlier on, and we're both like, self-funded, trying to build a business, it's cash flow and everything else. And we were just saying it's brick by brick. There's nothing else you can do. It's very hard to do 4 or 5 projects at a time. Like how do you compartmentalize that, if you like, into what's more important, what's the priority? Because you had so much going on at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is an acceptance that there's no definitive way, and I think overall it was a lot of hours from a lot of from the management team, but from all of the staff, and there were silly hours to get it done. But the brick by brick approach, whilst a lot was happening at once, you measure it by the same thing.
Yeah.
I just need to work through the same methodical process of making sure that everyone's informed. So we had on the office move and the office expansion, we had a weekly newsletter that went around every Monday. What's happening this week? What's happening the week after? How are you going to be impacted?
Yeah.
So people practically know they're not going to be in that desk this week. They're going to be somewhere else. So you'd taken in all the small measures, and I ran all of that with 5 spreadsheets and about 50 tasks. But you can only go back to being methodical. It's the same way that the team will process a mortgage application.
Yeah.
They're running through the steps. There's no point trying to speed through. There's no point trying to...
It's just with new projects, you don't know the tick list, do you? You don't know the problems that are going to arise. There's
it is. And I think at the same time, I had 3 weeks of jury service.
Perfect timing.
Which was really helpful. But I think you just have to go back to basics and go, we know something's going to go wrong. But if I tell you all what's happening and what I know is happening, something will take us off on a curveball, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes we recruited someone, we onboarded them, and then they changed their mind. That happened once. Sometimes, I think to COVID, that was the next landmark point for us, where we'd thankfully 3 months before started the business to be prepared for working at home, and part of that was capacity in offices.
Was it really? So is that like not a stroke of luck? No one was lucky in COVID, but you know what I mean. You'd already had that, because we found we made nothing in recruitment, and that wasn't because people weren't working. You guys were busy, but no one knew how to recruit. We didn't even know how to set up a system at home. We were just learning from our guys that we currently had. So let alone actually trying to grow a team. We were just something we'd never dealt with or weren't prepared for. So you obviously had a bit of preparation.
Yeah, we had 2 prompts. Our phone contract was coming up for renewal, and the office that we had in Sirius, there was more people wanting to come in than desks, and we needed to find some sort of hot desking facility.
Yeah.
We'd started that work in the November, December, and the new phone system went live on the 20th of February, I think, from memory.
In March.
And we were like, great, this is brilliant. We've all got these mobile phones that can run our office phones. This is all brilliant.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, that's actually going to come in handy.
Yeah.
So, so that was the next trigger for us, and the reason I referenced that was the staffing struggle that we had then, when suddenly the move where lots of people could work from home, we've always suffered and benefited from being so close to London.
Yeah.
We can attract a lot of talent, but then a lot of talent can do the quick train journey to London and find themselves with...
It depends where you live in Essex. Essex is always a weird one for recruitment, because some people refuse to go in and other people love London, but some people are like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Depending on where you live, or you're literally, you're 5 minutes up the road. It's such a it's a strange county for locations.
Indeed. I mean, our office in Billericay is 25 minutes from the London office.
Yeah.
And I live in Brentwood, so the Elizabeth line is great for being accessible to get in. So, but we had that dynamic of there's naturally bigger firms and lenders who can do bigger budgets.
Yeah.
And so there was then a staffing issue there. But ultimately, you just need to try and, it's never easy, but constantly try and pare things back to the simple change or the simple impact or project you need to try and make.
Yeah.
Break it down and know that some will work and some won't. And I've had plenty of mishaps and failures along the way where I just read a situation wrong and I predicted we'd get something done quicker or at a different point or a different place, and you just have to go, hands up, I've run with that one, but I'll carry on.
I think that's where we get better, though, right? I said to someone the other day when they said you're highly regarded in the industry, I went, I just think I've cocked it up so many times and I've been here so long that I'm all right at it now. I don't think there's any magic. Like, it's timing the game and getting stuff wrong.
No, and ultimately, as whoever we are in terms of managers and people, everyone's going to make a mistake. That's human nature. And actually, I've got no issue with anyone making a mistake on my team. I have an issue when a mistake happens a second time. It's more serious on the third time. But I know I look back at a mistake I made in 2012, and I will still remember it because I'll never do it again. But we used to have a printed newsletter that we used to send out. We used to go to all of our broker firms, and then I think we had like 500. It wasn't many at all. Yeah. And I'd be in the office and I was filling the envelopes up with the newsletter. We had the labels. It was all very high tech back then. And I made the decision that we would buy the stamps. This was old school times. Bought the stamps and thought, I tell you what, I can luck in here because the price of stamps is going up, so I'll buy them while they're cheaper. Brilliant. I thought, I've saved the company money. We sent out the 500 envelopes, and I was with Brad. We were about to go and watch, I think, West Ham in the playoff final. Yeah. We just got these emails through on our phone on the Saturday that said, I've just had to go to the post office to pick up your newsletter. And it was undercharged. So
did everyone have to go and pay it?
I had to pay 7p and £1. And we're like, must just be in this app. Come Monday, it was creeping death of emails of everyone. Yeah. And I was the only one culpable.
Because you don't know what it is at the post office, do you? So you're going to go and grab it and you go, bloody newsletter.
Everyone was going. And I think it only ended up costing us about £80.
Yeah.
But I've never made that mistake on a post ever again. Yeah. And I never will. And it's a lesson for everyone to don't trust
don't trust the post.
But that's, for me, that will always stand out. It's a silly mistake, 13 years ago. But it's human nature to make them. Yeah. You've got a big project or a small project or a new project, it's going to happen. It might happen.
Do you know what, actually, speaking of the changes or not making mistakes, I think it's really important that as a business you don't chastise people for making them, because it completely erodes away like creativity. Do you know what I mean? If someone can't make a mistake or they know they can't cock up, there's no real chance for people to be creative or come to an idea, is there? Because I think everyone's got to take that on board, that people are allowed to cock up. If you make a mistake or you can't have an idea that's not great, it's not the end of the world. But if you chastise people for it, you get in trouble for it, just stops everyone. They won't bother.
No, and the best ideas were never what someone said at the beginning of a conversation or a meeting. It was a spark at the beginning that then had 5 or 6 people add in. Then the first person that had the idea changes it, and then it comes back with and you end up leaving that meeting or that strategy session or whatever it is with a better idea. And along the way, you're going to have made a mistake about the way you rolled something out, or when you rolled something out, or maybe the terms and conditions that you applied for something. But you don't want to stifle that ingenuity and innovation for it. So,
and are your guys quite open with it? Are you got open to ideas from your teams? It's not just the management, right? Everyone's got a sign of an inlet to you.
Yeah, we've got the sort of the exec team. That's the 4 of us. We've got a management team that's 11 of us across the business. and everyone is able to feed in. I mean, as a company in 2019 and 2020, we won the Sunday Times Best Company to Work For twice, and on the second year we ran it with the best record score in the history of the competition.
Amazing.
And that was because of staff engagement. So we've always admitted we're never going to get everything right as a management team, but we're going to push forward with what we believe is right, and take feedback on board and respond as we need to.
And how do you do that? What's the kind of engagement process? It's great them being engaged, but there's got to be like a way of them doing it. How do you do it that was so improved that you got that kind of accolade?
I think the key is, if you ask for feedback, you need to respond to it when you get it. And
is it hard to take feedback sometimes?
Yeah, and it is. And some of it you'll look at and you'll go, well, that's just factually incorrect. And you might need to just redirect someone to go, well, that's not true. This is here, or that can be.
That's anecdotal rather than
that's anecdotal. But even just responding to go, thank you, I get your suggestion, but we thought about it, or we have previously thought about it, we're not going to do it. But I think the biggest thing about feedback is, if you're going to ask for it, you've got to respond to it.
Yeah.
Whether that, whatever fashion it is, because if they've made the effort, they deserve the counter for you to say, thank you, here's why we're going to do X, and here's why we're not going to do Y. And that's really important. I think that keeps people on the journey. It keeps people to understand why you've made that decision to do something differently. And that's important. So it's about taking feedback, but it's about responding to it. And we've had lots of scenarios where we've taken feedback on board from decisions that we've made or need to change, and you get a better outcome because
and you get an overall view as well, right? If you've got the same things coming back from people, you can see it's not it's a genuine issue, or it's a genuine good thing, or whatever it may be. It's an overall view rather than we're doing well, aren't we? And they're not really asking.
Yeah, and it's on a bigger scale and a more relevant scale. If Keir Starmer only listens to the people around his cabinet, he's going to have a limited view and a limited amount of progress that can be made.
Yeah.
There's 500 other people in that building in Parliament, and there's 60 million other people in the country. So there's a point where you have to go, you're there, in his case, elected to make decisions, in our case, appointed to make decisions, but you can't just act blindly forever, not going, well, there are other people that are involved in this day in, day out, who are going to see and know more than me and can make me be more empowered to make a better decision.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Although maybe you should have asked a few businesses about the national insurance hike.
I think maybe you should have just had a businessman around the cabinet table.
One businessman, yeah. I don't know if you've seen that on the Rachel Reeves thing, when they said, we spoke to loads of businesses, and they said, name one. And they asked about 100 times, name one. She couldn't name one. And then they were like, well, we spoke to Reed, Hayes, Manpower, all these people who put out thousands of people, and they've all said it's a bad idea. And she went, well, we asked a lot of companies.
Yeah, she asked those economists at the Bank of England.
Yeah, amazing they are, yeah.
I think that's the thing. You need to make sure, whilst you're in a position to make a decision, you shouldn't just blindly make the decision.
Educated.
And make it in an educated basis, because, I was doing land registries and credit searches and submitting DIPs 10 years ago. If someone asked me now, I'm not going to be able to give them the best, relevant, up-to-date advice on the quirks and the benefits out there. So
the land registry is still very the same.
Yeah,
antiquated.
So you need to defer to the people that are working in the different teams and under you in different areas of the business, because they're on the coalface. They're dealing with clients. They're understanding what's coming in. They're dealing with the call volume. So I can look at why are the call volumes not being responded to as quickly as possible when we've missed a target or we've hit a target. But I need to understand why. So you need to speak to people to go, well, actually, this is happening. We're getting, stamp duty changes are happening. So that's why. Okay. If you blindly ignore it, you're not going to be in touch with what's happening and why it's happening.
Yeah, nice. So let's talk about, just in regards to the market, kind of the changes or hopefully getting better. But where do you see it? Because obviously you're deeply entrenched in the specialist lending side. Where do you see the market at the moment? Where do you see it as a positive or moving in the right direction? And obviously, with all the changes we're having coming up, how do you foresee the next sort of 1 to 2 years?
Yeah, I think you have to be positive. I always think I had a conversation with people sort of middle of January, and I think if you start the middle of January being negative for the year, your self-fulfilling prophecy will come true.
Yeah. Whatever you think is going to happen is going to happen. And it's like send the phone, I can't find anyone. You won't.
It's not to say there's not reasons to be cautious or concerned or to have any of those decisions about, when you're making spending decisions or plans, but you've got to start with positivity. I think from the political side, which is both an interest to me, but obviously is a major factor for the stability on the economy.
Yeah.
I think we're past the vulnerability that was causing, and even if some of them change in terms of the people, that government's here for 4 years, and we've got some
suck
stability.
it up.
We've got suck it up. We're going to see things that we like and we don't like. They're also at the beginning of their parliament. So if they're going to do unpopular stuff, they're going to do it now because they're not worried about voting.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, in 4 years' time there'll be some radical changes.
Exactly. So I think that's going to be a major driver for why we've got a positive environment. We've not got clowns and circus acts going on. We've got at least people just doing their jobs. I think that's going to breed confidence certainly for the markets. I think when you think about it, Trump will be gone before Keir Starmer is. I mean, I might have to worry about that statement in case something happens. But
I'll hold you to that. I'm going to put this out there. He's binned up for there's a scandal next week.
Yeah, and reality is, the worry of what might happen in America and how it impacts the markets. Well, what people were worried about has happened. He's elected. He'll make the right decisions or the wrong decisions. Ultimately, I think he loves Britain. He's obsessed with our royal family, and he probably has got many other people way back before us. So I think those two big external factors, I think, are settled for 2025 and for going forward. I think market confidence is out there. I think, we might have another base rate cut before the end of the year. Some people were thinking 2. With inflation and where it was, there might only be 1. But generally, we're probably at a more stable point where rates are typically where they should be, the ridiculously record lows.
Well, we've been saying that recently. It doesn't have to be cheap money; it just has to be consistent for decisions to be made. It's not ridiculously expensive money either. It's just consistent money is what we need to make a slightly more consistent market.
It's always the debate about when's the best time to move because of house prices, and ultimately you go, well, the best time to move is when you need to and when you afford it.
If you afford it,
I would love to move tomorrow, but I can't. So I won't. And actually, there's a great house. The housing market slumps. There's a lovely price, and I can go and move it. Yeah, but I can't get a mortgage for it. So what's the point? So we obviously want a sound and a booming housing and a property market, but things will play out as they need to, and I think rates will broadly come down and settle.
Yeah.
And actually, we don't want constant rate increases or constant rate decreases because there's be thousands of
wait and see, isn't it? It's all the wait and see clients.
We're going to have 1,000 mortgage brokers up and down the country re-dipping and getting offers out 15 times if every month there was a rate change.
God, that was a fun time in the middle of last year, or not every couple of minutes.
So we don't want that. We don't want government coming out with a brand new housing policy that's not going to do anything. We would like them to build some more houses, and I think that the reason I'm positive for this year is I think we've got a bit of stability.
Yeah.
The reason I'm more positive for next year and the year after is I think, and I hope it's not just hope over reality, but I think we might start to see the housing crisis solved in this country. I think the government are talking enough about saying we need to build more houses. So if we can see that come through, if we can see people realise opportunities, we will see more young people be able to purchase their first home.
Well, the first time buyers kickstarts the market, doesn't it? Exactly. That's how the market starts. So and it helps all your development clients and everything else. It all kicks off with those. Yeah. How many million houses that we're behind? But
we need to do. They're promising 5 million, I think, in the course of the Parliament, or I don't know.
Is it change the way they do planning if they're getting at 5 million out?
Yeah, exactly. And look, and I'm a former councillor, and I've seen the stumble blocks of the planning committee that goes on until midnight with unprofessional people like me at the time making decisions. So there needs to be a bit more professionalism in the planning system for people that are making those decisions.
Well, my brother-in-law's a councillor, and he's on the planning committee, and he's actually owns a letting agent, and he understands a bit about businesses. A buy-to-let investor as well. And he did say, you'd be surprised the people on there who will argue for the sake of arguing. They don't really know what it's not their core business. Well,
they're arguing over where the bin store is going to be located because it might impact
one of their people.
and I'm no big advocate of building on the greenbelt, but I think the stat was if we built on 1% of the greenbelt every year, we would solve the housing crisis demand. But I think we could afford to lose about 10% of the greenbelt in the UK and get some growth. But actually, I think we could just afford to look at brownfield sites across the UK and get some development happening.
Yeah, get it moving, exactly, yeah.
Get moving. And so I think that, for me, is why...
It must be that part of that, sorry to jump in, it must be part of that, the decision-making process that is stalling, right? Because we know there's developer out there. We know there's development finance businesses. My light's just gone off. I can't. We know there's lots of institutional money that needs to come out the door for developers. We speak every lender we speak to. They're desperately trying to make these work. So it is the initial bit, right? It's the planning side and the getting it done and being able to do it, because there's enough. It seems like there's enough of everyone else, unless I'm just deluded about because I speak to lenders every day. But
yeah, I think there's two parts. There's the needing to make sure that the planning system is fit for purpose. I mean, when I was on the council, I think about 85 decisions were still made by officers and only 15 got to members. So I don't know, there's a right and a wrong with that, because you had professionally qualified planners making decisions and probably getting more developments through, and then you involve the elected members and the representatives, and then
aren't qualified,
aren't qualified, and are ultimately thinking about the backyard of where they are representing, which is the right thing for them to do for their community, but it's not the right thing to do for the wider community. Ultimately, you're going to hold something back. I think the next big part is developers. I mean, one of the biggest donors to the Conservative Party for years is JCB. So you can appreciate that there are connections between housing developers, builders, constructors, and impacts on government. And I wouldn't make any suggestion on that. But where you've got developers that have huge amounts of land that they are land banking and waiting, they're the driver as to how much. So if we force them with additional taxes or measures to say, stop land banking. If you've got a million houses you can build, start building more than 10,000 you're building. We're not asking you to build everything on your stock. You've got to respond and build more. And if that needs to be an incentive scheme for them, then do it. But get on and
do it. Oh, so it isn't just the front end then. You use the development as well. That's potentially all the developers that.
I think large scale, and I think thankfully the economy is probably helping. The growth at the moment from SME developers who are really playing their part in driving forward new development schemes, and firms like us and our brand in Sirius looking at funding big development schemes. That's helping keep the growth going in the country. But can you imagine how much better it would be if some of those those big boys in terms of the builders out there and started building.
We see lovely deals, don't we? And we see it, like you say, with the guys at Sirius and stuff. But you're right, like the big monster builders who are, the self-funded guys, and that they need to get a shift on.
Absolutely. So I'm positive for what will happen. I think there's stability in the market. I think the main players are starting to realise they want to get rates down. I think we've got a stable-ish government. We've got a Bank of England that is a bit more focused on how it can support the market. And we've got lenders that want to lend and brokers that want to support clients. And ultimately, for a firm like us and many others, specialist scenarios will always be there. And the last 5 years has meant a whole new stream of specialist clients coming in there because of where they're based, how they're working, the methods of their pay, and we've got a generation that will have their income mainly driven from TikTok and social media.
I know. There's no such thing as vanilla mortgage anymore, is there? There's not. But I also think that's good. I think that drives education in the market as well. I think it's been fairly easy with cheap money for a long time. It's been a big part of the market. I've been kind of order takers, so I think, and obviously, specialists like you guys, but actually, the brokers also need to learn more, don't they? Like, it just as part of the education piece is getting better at having a holistic view on someone, as opposed to just like Doris's Santander mortgage. Like, anyone could do it standing on their head.
And a mortgage broker, certainly last year, as you sort of referenced, they were under huge pressure for PTs, the remortgages, where people wanted to constantly chase lower rates. And the message that we had to lots of the firms introduced to us were, if you've got something specialist, don't try and take it on yourself. Use an external partner, whether that's Brightstar or anyone.
I was going to say, have you benefited quite a lot from, because I've seen it over the last few years, there's a lot of vanilla resi brokers who are like, I don't really fully understand the market, but they want to be in it because they see the big procs and they see, they're kind of cool deals, aren't they? So I do get it, I think everyone should take a crack at both. But have you kind of benefit from that they do need a bit more hand holding because they're not. There used to be like a finite amount of commercial brokers, didn't there? Now everyone does a bit of commercial, but if it's not your core business, especially with like development, right, and bridging, you can get it wrong. So 10 grand prop fees, 20 grand prop fees are amazing, but 100% of zero is still zero. If you can't get it right. So
and we had a big education piece of our brokers, which is use us as your external referral partner. You're not going to have to worry about understanding the breadth of lenders. You've already got a huge job with high street and main street lenders. Don't try and diversify so much that you
work out the 247 bridges.
Don't do that. Refer over to us, and equally you're going to get the same amount whether you refer over or try and do it yourself. And more likely we're going to be able to get it through for you. And I think from their perspective, it's been an add-on that they can go, actually, this has been really beneficial because my time is being consumed on PTs and it's being consumed on remortgages. And actually, I can still have this avenue where there is someone there who can get involved and help on a specialist deal for me and get it through and make a real supplement to their income. So, look, any big scenario will always create those opportunities, and it's there for all of us to go, well, we can come into our own and support you from that perspective and aid the growth that you need in your business.
And you get a lot of that. Do you get a lot of the guys sort of moving over there, dipping their toe in the water on that side of things? And do you do that kind of education piece? Because it's difficult for you, right? Because you don't want someone to fully, well, maybe you do. You know what I mean? Fully educate themselves so much that they want to do it themselves. But at the same time, the better they get at it, the better referrals you get, the better clients you get. So they can learn to sort of half package a case. Do you do that kind of education piece with them as well, or do you take a lot off them?
I think a lot of our education and certainly the conversations we have is focused on highlighting opportunities, because for some broker firms across the country, it's just about finding that there is an opportunity there for you to refer something on, and rather than just saying, no, I can't do that, or I'm not aware of what we can do, and them losing that deal. So I think that's where the education has been focused. I mean, ultimately for us, we'd love to keep all the referrals, but that's not the way of the world. So I think from us, it's about saying, look, there will be some where maybe the lender allows you direct access and you're confident enough because of that lender, you want to do it. And that's great. They know, A or B lender, and they can always go and get that bridge with them. But then they go, actually, we've tried A and B lender. They won't. Do you have someone?
Where do we go? Yeah,
of course we do. So I think from our perspective, you get a blend of it, and that's fine for us. And they recognise that they can do some on their own, but they want to refer some over, or time, or this is a tricky client, can you pick up? So, we've benefited, and there's an element that you've shown them how to do it, and then they go and grow up and they do it themselves. But in a nice way that they do.
And at the same time, you're still getting the funnel of the new guys coming in, aren't you? So I just got to check my computer.
Exactly. They've got the opportunities to still go, I can now highlight those opportunities. I've got colleagues that want to be able to pick up on it. It's a positive from our perspective.
Good. I've already nearly reached my limit of time, and I haven't got halfway through the questions. But I want to talk about mentorship as well, because obviously you worked under Rob for a long time, and I'm assuming that kind of boosts your career as well. Being he's very influential and very good at passing on information, that kind of thing. Is it something you push for as a business? Because I'm trying to push this one on the podcast quite a lot, because I think it's really important that we start getting the next generation of people, because there is definitely a skill gap. So in regards to mentorship and that kind of thing, how are you doing with that? How are you kind of getting people up through the ranks, like what happened with you?
So I mean, Claire here runs a strategy, and we call the strategy Grow Your Own. So, and I'm going to get the stats wrong, but I think just under half of our sales team has come from the Grow Your Own strategy, which was people coming in, learning on the job in terms of admin roles, and have progressed into sales roles, and are now amongst our top performing sellers, in the business.
Amazing.
So, and that's come from having one-on-one support with existing consultants, whether that, in addition to that, Rob and Gina and Brad and all those experts that have been on hand for them. And it's been a great success. And you love looking around, seeing someone that came in from being a hairdresser or a dinner lady or an Ibiza body paint tattoo artist, I think, and they're now flying and having the best sales years they've ever had in their life. So it's great to see. And I think the mentorship piece is something that we've always been really passionate about. I mean, also the work placement, the internship proposals. We work with 2 local schools. Last year we had 28 students in across 7 weeks, working on different teams, whether that be in marketing or my ops team or in the sort of sales function, and giving them opportunities, giving them exposure to the team. And my team now has got someone on there that has been there for a year from Manchester University, and he's working for us for a whole year, and getting great benefits for our business. Really, a great opportunity. So I think it's really important, because we need to make sure that we've got plenty of people coming through the system and joining the industry.
Amazing. That's really good. Sorry, you could see I was trying to tap something to my computer as it was going. Then it was all going off. But as you say, I mean, you can see that the benefit of that as well, right? And I think it's the difficult thing for people to understand is that, and obviously for recruiters, it's great if we can recruit for people. But I'm a big advocate of training academies. But you do need kind of deep pockets and patience, right? I think there's two things that not everyone has, especially the patience element. You know, you can chuck money at training academies, but it's irrelevant if you don't really see the benefit at first, do you? So it's very difficult, especially in this world of short-term gratification being such a big thing, that it's hard for people to see the benefit. Like, why should we step up and train new people? You know, you kind of leave it to someone else. And I think that's the issue with the skills gap in our market, is that everyone's kind of, well, that's great, but I want people with 5 years experience. And actually, what you're doing there, growing those through the business, pay dividends for you now, but it does take a while, right?
Yeah, and I think you have to go into it accepting that if you create great talent, so if you nurture great talent and people that have got really positive attitude, and then they get the skills, you are opening them up to want to look beyond your building, and you're opening up other people who want to look at them and go, they look like they're interesting, and you have to.
Yeah, you don't want to set up like a recruit. You're just recruiting for everyone in the.
Yeah,
but then that's the beauty of like the retention side of things, is just trying to keep everyone happy.
And that's the thing. Our staff retention is incredibly high. Yeah. People want to stay here. They're succeeding personally and professionally. So you have to. If you go into it trying to make sure that never happens, you're gonna fail. But if you go it might happen. But actually, you can look at it as a proud company to go. We look around and there's lots of people that started their careers here and they're now having great careers somewhere else. You know, well done. Was
it the Richard Branson thing about what if we train them so well they leave, and they're like, what if you don't train them well and they stay?
Yeah,
you've got to do the positive, haven't you? You've got to be the
exactly.
Try and keep everyone you can.
Yeah,
you know, you do.
You want to train to have the best high standards, and if that means some people find the opportunities, then you had the best. You had the best of their years while they were with you.
That's quite a good accolade for you as well as a business, right? But like you say, you see people across the industry go, well, I taught them.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I'm sure there's people that were at us and left and gone, we're really pleased to have gone and not working with Will anymore. But it's nice to look around and go, look, the industry is huge, but also very small. And I've always remember from an early years with my mum and dad telling me the classic phrase about when you're working up the tree, remember you can fall down the tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Across people. So you wish people all the best and you want to see that everyone succeed in life. And that's what we should be doing.
Nice, good. So let's go on to our final subject. So you are an advocate or an ambassador for the LGBTQ community in the financial services, right?
Yeah.
So what does that entail for you? This is going to be like a 3-part question, so you can just talk. But what does that entail for you? What's kind of changed, or what changes have you seen, and what could we be doing better?
So I think the big drive for me is there's been lots of progress on things like women in finance, and it's really obvious on something like that to look and find female role models. When I came into the industry in 2012, I wasn't out as a gay man. I came out to friends and family in 2016. But as I looked around the industry, you can't look and find ambassadors and and people that are like
you, right? Because you can see a gender.
Yeah, you can. It's exactly. It's great for the BAME community. You can look around and find aspirational people to look forward to and to talk to. So we didn't have that. So I think I made the conscious decision about 3 or 4 years ago that, well, I know some people, but if actually we're going to drive this, I need to be the one that says, well, look, I'm part of the LGBT community. I want to speak vocally about that. I want to take part in debates and panel discussions. I want to share my thoughts. And what I've launched towards the end of last year with some friends at Barcadia Media is the Pride in Finance Alliance, to go, this is a trade body that we're establishing to promote finding ambassadors of the LGBT community that can be there to help others in that situation, but to also create an allyship. That there are lots of people that want to do their best to support the LGBT community, or people like me that went through years of struggling to want to come out, but wanting to be involved in those groups and contact people so that I could get the confidence. It was a double-edged sword. I don't want to say I'm gay, but I can't join this group because someone will say, well, you must be gay. So it was awful to know. So I'm like, well, I'm going to try and create something now that is it's a community that people can share with like-minded people, that can talk about struggles or issues they've got, but we can start to build up a real advocacy base that, the most diverse industry that we can create, the better we'll be able to serve the clients that work within it.
This is the whole point. Yeah, it's the same with the women in financial services issue. The fact that we used to have white, middle-aged, straight men on boards, and everything was hive thinking. And then you see the creativity that's created in the market by just having diversification.
Yeah,
it makes a massive difference. Do you still think we've got a fair way to go, or do you think? I mean, it's difficult for me, right? Because I don't see the struggle, but it's the same as women in financial services. I see great women in it. But I've never been in that struggle. So do you still think we've got a way to go, or do you think we're moving in the right way
I think we're moving in the right way. And one of the things that we've started with is doing a Pride in Finance survey to try and get the state of the nation, because I think there's lots of issues that we might not know about. I think there's lots of inherent and unintentional bias and within the system. I think there's still, as a wider topic, I think there's still more to go on the basis that there are 20 clubs in the Premier League and there's not one out Premier League gay footballer. I think we're not at the point where people...
We're not the worst industry.
Yeah, I think we're not at the point where people feel comfortable enough to necessarily always be who they are. And not everyone has to be out and proud and gay, like all of us. But I think there's plenty of moves that we can still make to make people feel comfortable and safe in the environment to be and say who they are and who they love and who they're married to.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice at a point where people, if they ask about my partner, they just ask about my partner. They don't say, what does your wife do? And I have to do that uncomfortable.
You still get that? Is it
and it's unintentional. I know someone's not meaning to cause offence, but maybe just...
I'm so conscious of getting anything wrong, whether that is...
Well, I think, to be honest...
How I interact with women in financial services, or mentioning someone, same partner instead of wife or husband. I think, but I'm in it every day, right? I speak to hundreds of people every day, so it's probably very different if it's a bit insular. But I'm always conscious of not saying the wrong thing or acting the wrong way, just to make sure you're.
But you know what? Half the effort is achieved there. You're someone that can be an ally because you're concerned about wanting to make sure you act in the right way. And half...
We talked before, didn't we? I wanted to know how I addressed it because I'm conscious of being a white male straight man. I've got I can't, every conversation I have on here, I can't moan about anything, and I don't want to cock up someone else's chance to get their bit across. So you've got to have that kind of...
Yeah, and this is where, for me, intent matters. Intent matters that, and someone's not trying to offend me when they ask about my wife, but it makes it really uncomfortable. No, well, he works for,
That's just how you flip it in it, say he, and then
exactly. So there's positives. I think there's progress to be done, but I'm excited about it, and hopefully we can see more of that over the next few years.
And if people want to contact you on that side of things, I mean, we'll talk about all your socials will be on our socials when it comes to Brightstar, but particularly on that subject of it, something you're very passionate about. How can people talk to you or get hold of it, or is Pride of Finance, you say, is there?
Yeah, so we've got a Pride in Finance Alliance LinkedIn page. You can message on that. You can message on my Twitter, my work email address, however you want, confidentially or not. Drop a line, and happy to chat to anyone. We want to drive it forward, and that means involving as many people as we can.
Nice, good. Hopefully that does resonate with some people. They've got kind of, like you say, allies in the business.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Good. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. I did say it'll be 40 minutes. I say this to everyone, it's never 40 minutes. So I need to extend it. But I really appreciate your time today. And thank you everyone for listening and watching. As Will has said, all of his socials will be on our socials, and we'll show how you can get hold of him if you want to have any conversations, whether that be about Brightstar or anything we've talked about. I really appreciate your time today, Will. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers.